Hello and welcome to another episode of Create, Lead, Live. I'm Emily Wilkes and I'm really excited to have you join me today. Today we're going to be talking about spiritual success routines and rituals. And the reason I want to chat to you about this is that we started talking about it in a recent video about the value of really practicing our connection with our inner wisdom. So even though your inner wisdom is available to you all the time, one of the things that can happen is we can become disconnected from it and we don't necessarily practice it as part of our everyday. And so having some routines and rituals can really help you more deeply connect with that inner wisdom, that spirit, that intuition within you. And so I really wanted to chat to you about the practical side of this today, like how can you actually cultivate a deeper connection with your inner wisdom through routines and rituals. And one of the things that I thought could really be kind of powerful is talking about the idea about giving yourself that space and time to connect. And I touched on this a little bit in the last video as well, is one of the things that can happen is that we push and pull sometimes when it comes to our inner wisdom, or we push really hard to try to hear that voice within us. And the more we kind of try to force it, the more we try to control and manipulate it, the harder it is sometimes to hear it. Because what happens is, as we go through that process of pushing and pulling and trying to wrangle it into submission, what we're actually saying is that we know best, that we have the kinds of answers or the kind of the how to in terms of connection. But what we're really trying to do here through these routines and rituals is to cultivate the kind of environment, the kinds of situations and circumstances that enable us to listen. And so rather than actually forcing it to tell us what we want it to say, what we're trying to do is actually create an environment for ourselves where we can slow everything down, where we can actually be calm and relaxed and at ease and joyful and feel peaceful within ourselves so that we can hear that voice. So we bring that patience to the picture. So we're actually saying, I don't need the answer right now. I'm looking forward to receiving the answer. I'm looking forward to receiving the guidance from within me, from within that powerful place within me. But I'm willing to kind of surrender my own efforts here. I'm willing to allow it space to come forth when it's ready. I'm willing to allow it space to share the exact information that I need, but I'm going to give it the space to come forth. I'm going to give it the silence and the peace and the presence of mind for me to hear it when it does speak. So that inner wisdom flow is happening all the time, but maybe I'm not listening because I'm pushing and pulling. Maybe I'm not listening because I have my own ideas about what it should look like, and the information that's coming through doesn't look the way that I thought that it should, and so I'm not necessarily paying attention. I'm not aware. I'm not accepting it in, I'm not receiving it. And so a big part of this process is really about allowing it space, practicing patience, practicing presence, practicing that peace within us, finding that, I guess, what's the word? It's kind of like making space for it. Just making space for it, allowing space for it to come through, and allowing space for ourselves to actually receive it as well. So it can be really helpful, I think, to think about, from a business perspective, to think about your spirit as a partner in your business. And so how can you do this practically? Like, how can you use these routines and rituals to practice connecting with your inner wisdom and spirit on a regular basis, and to enable your spirit to be a partner with you in your business? And one of the things that you can do is to schedule it in. And I chatted about this in the last video a little bit as well. But this is about saying to yourself, as my partner in my business, I need to be thinking about how often would I be inviting my partner in to actually chat to them about what's happening. Am I talking to them about what's happening? Am I asking them to be part of the decision-making process? Am I inviting them to share their ideas, their thoughts, their inspired ideas along the way? Or am I just, touching base with them when a problem comes up or when a challenge comes up? So it's really, selecting an intentional process around this, where you're inviting your spirit to be a partner on the journey, not just your go-to kind of when you're having trouble or when you're confused or you're challenged by something, but actually your go-to to share ideas, to share that inspiration as it's coming up for you. So you might have seen something and you think, oh wow, this is a really great idea. That's an opportunity for you to say, I might just connect in with my inner wisdom and just see, like, how does this sit when I actually slow down and allow space for this idea to really just flow? How do I see it then? How does my inner wisdom see this? And so you're not necessarily just jumping in and diving in and doing something because it seems like a good idea. You're actually allowing space for this idea to germinate, for it to build, for it to connect at a deeper level, and for you to receive that inner wisdom and guidance that helps you to know, yes, this is the path, or maybe this is a distraction. Maybe this is a bright, shiny object, which is actually taking me off the path. Like, it seems like a good idea in theory and it would be fun, or it's exciting, or who knows where it would go. But when it comes back to it, and when you settle into it, and when you allow it that space to kind of germinate, that inner wisdom comes forth and lets you know the timing isn't right for this right now. You know, this is something we can set aside and come back to, or this is something that's nice for those people because it fits really well with their business mission, but our business mission is this, and so it doesn't really make sense. So it might be a program, for instance. You might have been inspired to create a program that you think your audience would love, or they're asking you for, but when you settle into that connection with your inner wisdom and your spirit, you realize that actually that's not your zone of genius. It would take you a lot of work to pull that together because it's not necessarily where your particular zone of genius and, value is. You have a particular skill set that you're most wanting to draw on, or that you have a passion for, and that this would be taking you off path from that this would be causing, sure, you might learn something new, and you might, it might be the path for you, but it might be that you've just been attracted to something because it seems like a great idea at the time, but doesn't necessarily align with that vision that you and your spirit really have for your business. So this connection process is something that you can do on a day-to-day basis, not just when you're challenged, but also when you're inspired as well. And the more you do it, the more you will find that inner wisdom will guide you and help you to really connect with what is the next path for you, the next step for you, the next aligned action that you could be taking. So it's really about that space, being present and allowing space for this to happen. So there's a number of ways that you can do this to connect in a ritualistic kind of way with your inner wisdom and spirit. One is you can do it in a kind of informal way. So it might be through the kinds of activities and things that you do that help you be present in the moment. So it might be, and I use examples of these all the time. You'll hear me talking about this all the time because it's so important. Things like going for a walk, things like going for a run or doing some exercise, getting outside in the fresh air, doing things like meditation or prayer. The kinds of things that help you to be present in the moment. So you're not necessarily having a direct dialogue with your inner wisdom, but you are doing things which bring you joy, which help you to let go of all of the kind of analytical thoughts and the overthinking and the analysis and the strategizing, and really connect in with that presence, being present in the moment and not having to think, not having to work at it, just enjoying yourself, just being in the moment. It might be sitting down and having a cuppa with someone that you love, your best friend or your family member or someone like that, somebody that you're really deeply connected with, that you can just be present with in the moment and allow the ideas to flow and to not necessarily have to think, to just be in the moment. And so those kinds of unstructured activities are really, really powerful in helping you connect with your inner wisdom on a daily basis. What you can then do afterwards to kind of introduce a bit of structure to it is you can start to write down, note down, get a notepad or a journal or something like along those lines to write down the kinds of inspired ideas which flowed for you. You can use your phone, just grab your notes or something like that and just jot down the inspired ideas that flowed as a result of that unstructured kind of time. Because what you'll find, it's not always going to happen, but what you'll find is when you're doing things that you enjoy and that you love and that you can be really present with, that the inspired ideas start to really flow. much more easily because you're not blocking them anymore. You're not blocking them with all these thoughts about how things should be or what you're expecting the answers might be, but you're actually just saying, like, this, is space and time for that flow of energy from within me to happen unimpeded by anything else. And then taking, going away from that situation and jotting it all down so that you've got it there to draw on whenever you need to. Now, in terms of structured kind of connection routines and rituals, prayer can be one where you're really intentional. You're actually inviting that inner wisdom to speak to you. You're really having like a dialogue internally about what's sort of happening. You're sharing what's happening and you're asking questions of that inner wisdom. So it's more of a really structured kind of dialogue process. You can do that as prayer, but you can also do that as a journaling activity or writing a letter. You can send yourself an email, or where you sit down and you just write the thoughts that you're having, and you're asking questions of your inner wisdom. And it may actually be asking questions of you as well that help you to kind of gain that clarity along the way and to enable that flow of inspiration and wisdom to flow through to you. So you're basically having a chat with that side of yourself. The more that you do these things, whether it be structured or unstructured or a blend of the two, the more connected you are going to feel with your inner wisdom. So it's like that practice that you do with, if you're going to have a fit, healthy, health and healthy body and mind, then you practice and do these things regularly. It's no different with your inner wisdom. You're really like enabling that intentional space for this to happen. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you will get at connecting. And I really want to be really clear here in saying it's not that you're connecting, that connection's there all the time. It's you're getting better at actually tuning into it. You're getting better at actually listening. You're getting better at paying attention. You're actually getting better at giving yourself that time and space that you need to hear it, to actually allow it to be a part of your life, instead of soldiering on with this, idea that you think that you know what you're doing and where you're going and what should be happening, and your inner wisdom is speaking to you, but you're actually just drowning it out with all the have-tos and the shoulds and the coulds. This is a process of actually stopping all of that and saying, I'm actually giving priority to this part of myself. I'm giving priority to my inner wisdom and intuition and my spirit. I'm raising it to the level of priority that it deserves, and I am giving it space for it to have that role in my life and in my business. And so I'm actually intentionally inviting it to be a partner on the journey, and not just inviting it and saying, I look forward to your guidance and wisdom and insights, but I'm actually willing to hear it as well. I'm actually willing to surrender the thoughts that I had as to the best way to do this and hear that wisdom flowing through. I'm actually willing to let go of my own ideas here, and I'm willing to let go of all those, tasks and objectives and shoulds that I gave myself, and allow an alternative to flow through and be possible for me in this situation. So really, this is really what the routines and rituals are all about. It's about practicing, cultivating, and connecting with that listening side of yourself, so that you're inviting your inner wisdom to speak, but you're also demonstrating that willingness and that free flow of energy from you, so that you're actually receptive to it, so that you're receptive to hearing it and acknowledging it, and being ready really to draw down on it and draw on it as a partner in the business that you are developing and running. So I hope that these ideas around routines and rituals is helpful to you, thinking about it from the perspective of really the joy that you get out of doing these, but also about the different approaches that you can take. Let me know, how do you connect with your inner wisdom? How do you connect with your spirit? And how do you know when you're hearing that side of yourself? I would love to hear. Please don't hesitate to reach out. My email is coaching@emilywilkes.com. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. Bye.